Podcast. I'm your host, Danny M.
Hi, I'm your co-host, Asia Carroll. Thanks for joining us today.
And today we have two special guests. We have Miss Genesis Kemp. You were on the show just a few weeks ago. And also, again, my longtime friend, Miss Miranda Hines. Happy birthday. I told you I was going to shout you out. Happy birthday, girl. Thank you for sharing
Thank
some of your
you.
time with us today.
Happy
So,
birthday.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this for a long time since we had our first interview.
oh yeah. I think the last time we talked, what topic were we talking about? Genesis, I think we were talking about your part two of your
hmm
book. Is that right?
Yeah, we talked about part two, and then I think we talked about diversity, equity, and inclusion. We
hmm
touched on that and how it impacts us all in different ways.
Definitely. And we can all see in the news everywhere in society how this is not just some topic that we're just bringing up on the Sisters Talk podcast. This is a very real issue that is affecting all people of color, especially African American people of this great nation. So this is definitely something that if you're not educated on the topic, of real diversity, Asia, you explained to me what equity was. Would you like to explain to people and let them know what that term means, just as a recap for people who may have missed that segment with Genesis and Miranda and myself?
Sure. So equity is when you make things not equal, but when you give a certain group more than what you're giving a group that already have things. So, for example, if someone's homeless and they don't have any food to eat, you may give them 3 oranges compared to someone who is not homeless. You'll give them one. So that's what equity is.
Yes. So many people don't even know that too. You know what I mean? Like myself, when Asia brought that topic up to me, I was like, equity. I know about equity. I immediately started thinking about mortgage, thinking about homes, thinking about what can I get back? Oh yeah, I'm gonna get a lot of money out of my home. She's like, nah,
hmm
that's not what I mean as it pertains to race relations, diversity and what we lack, as a community. So shout out to Shay for always joining into the Sisters Talk podcast. Hey, Queen. Then we have Miss Renee who tuned in today.
Hi.
Miss Tanisha, sorry, from ATL tuning in. Shout out to Atlanta. I will
Woo!
be out there in your great city this summer. Cannot wait. Also, shout out to D Creations because he's doing big things in the studio, making videos and all kind of great stuff. So Sisters Talk has a lot of things in store for you guys. We've just been working behind the scenes, silently but consistently. Anyway, without further ado, because I know y'all came in for this topic. I know if I got somebody all the way from Atlanta, you guys heard about this setting healthy boundaries. This is a very serious topic. And I'm going to turn it over to my girls because y'all are here for a reason. Like, we've all encountered this having to set healthy boundaries, pissing people off while doing so, and not really giving a damn because we have to protect our own mental sanity. Like, does anybody on this show today disagree with that?
No, not at all.
I
Of
will,
course
Renee. I'm gonna
not.
come visit you, boo. Tell me where I need to go though. Once I land, I will definitely reach out to you, and I'm actually serious. I'm sliding in your DMs after this. But anyway, I'm sorry. Keep going. What did you guys say? I'm sorry.
I said no, not at all.
Right. So I mean, sometimes a lot of us we have family members that try to bully us. I'm speaking for myself. We have family members who try to, tell us what we're gonna be doing with our lives or with ourselves or with our time, things of that nature. There's so many different ways to like break this whole topic apart. But I think that it's most sensitive when we're dealing with the people that we care about. Like, I don't know, Miranda, would you agree with that? Or
Of course, I would agree. When we first spoke about this, we were talking about how we were going to speak about our children and being a mom of four. I'm a single mom and I work. I'm a full-time worker as well, and I'm in a relationship. So just dealing with setting boundaries with my children and my significant other and how I allot my time appropriately. It is not always easy being the person everybody is trying to get time from. But as we all know, when we teach people how to treat us, you know? So that's what setting a boundary is, you know, when my children need something from me, you know, it has always been hard for me, honestly, to tell them, okay, mommy needs a minute, you know, and to take away a moment because I feel like I'm being selfish, and that's just me being transparent. But for the first time, you guys, I literally like took 5 minutes of my time to talk to him and give him my undivided attention because that's a boundary he needed from me. I've never done that, you guys. I never did that before. And I told him, I said, man, I can see why my relationships have never worked. I've always prioritized my children in front of everybody. And he was like, no, you have to be able to give time where time is needed. And I told my children, I said, hey, I need this time. And I walked away, guys. I felt so weird. I've never done that. Can you guys believe that? I'm 37
Yeah.
today. That was the first time I ever told my children, like, I will be back.
That's good. That's setting a healthy boundary.
Yeah.
And I think as women, we normally automatically are taught to give of ourselves to everybody else. And we're not taught to give to ourselves. And so it's literally drilled in us as children. When you get married, you got to give to your husband. When you get children, when you have children, you got to give to your children. They have to be a priority. That's false. I don't live by that narrative any longer. I make myself a priority. As I make myself a priority, I automatically can make others like not a priority, but I can give to them what they deserve to have because I'm taking care of me.
I love it.
I guess
That is I was just about to say that's great because I never thought that way, but you're right. Like that is so true.
One thing that kind of helped me with setting these priorities is stop making people a priority when they make you an option, whether it's your family, your friends, people on social media, or etc. Because if you keep giving, people are takers by nature, and they're going to take until you have nothing left to give and you're burnt out. So before I got on this live, like, I'm just gonna be honest. I jumped on this live, I think, with 3 minutes to spare because I was like, I need to take a power nap. Like, don't come upstairs. Don't turn on the flipping light. Don't ask me to do nothing because why? I'm taking a nap. That's part of my self-care so I can recharge or rejuvenate. Then now I'm on this live. I'm like, for an hour, I'm going to be on the live. When I get done, I can assist and help. Because sometimes I feel like, oh, I would just stop what I'm doing, go help somebody. And then I kind of feel bad because I was like, dang, I didn't get nothing done on my to-do list because I was so busy helping people. And like, people just expect you to do things for them that they wouldn't ordinarily do for you. And I was like, that's selfish. But then you talk about, oh, well, I'm selfless or whatnot. But what you're telling me to do and what you're requiring from me is selfish. And if you won't put in the same amount of time and efforts that you want me to put in, then I'm sorry, I ain't got nothing for you.
First of all,
absolutely awesome.
all of that. I need all the energy because one thing about me, by nature, I am a giver. But when I tell you I have pulled back within the last 5 years of my life, it's all about me first. Then I can give to my family, and then I can give to my friends. But I need to get all of my things that I have to do for me done first. I have to get that accomplished. If I don't, it's like you're constantly pouring your water out of your pitcher into everybody else's glass. And then you can't get mad at them because now you're empty. You know what I mean? So I love everything that each one of you ladies had to say on this topic, just opening up the subject matter, because as women, especially, no offense, guys, but women by nature, we are destined, preordained to be the caregivers of everyone, not just our kids. You know, some of us, now don't get mad at me, but some of us are taking care of our of our boyfriends and our husbands too. And I'm just going to keep it real on the show today. Like, and you have to step back and think, are they pulling their weight? Is it 100%? Or is it more 75, 25%? Or for some relationships, it's even worse. It's 90%, 10%, right? And you wonder why you're getting these headaches. You wonder why you're moody. You're wondering why, you know what I mean? Like you can't get anything done and you can't focus on one thing. And the reason why a lot of us can get a lot done and we can focus on multiple things is because we're getting that love and we're getting that time to ourselves that we need. Write it down in the books, ladies, because it's so important that we get that self-time. That is your self-love. Now, moving on. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to add to that. I agree. A lot of times when you're in a relationship, it's like you're giving of yourself because that's what your partner expects. But I've been single primarily because I don't want to give of myself to anyone in this moment. I'm happy giving to myself and to my children. And I think once women and some men as well be content with being by themselves and they know that they've given to themselves as much as they can, then at that point they can give to someone else in a partnership. We jump into relationships wanting someone to give to ourselves and we've never given to ourselves.
Come on. Ooh, that's deep. I'm telling you. And let's even talk about the sex part as well, right? A lot of us think that we have to have sex with our partners. We have to. Okay, yes, sex is an act of giving to each other, right? And I'm sorry if I'm making anybody uncomfortable on the show today. But we're all adults, hopefully, that's listening to the show today. Anyway, moving forward, I would say this. If you're not in the mood, you're simply not in the mood. And one thing about being in a relationship, we have to compromise. That's where the compromise come in. I'm not saying compromise in terms of this person not having a job and you're the breadwinner. I didn't say that. I said with sex, if you're not in the mood because you're tired, you're drained, you've been at work, you had multiple projects on your list, or maybe you lost your job, you're stressed out, you're not in the mood, you're just simply not there physically, then it is the other person's job to be responsible enough, respectful enough, and mature enough to be able to accept the fact that, you know what, my partner is not, and they're not feeling it. They're not with it today. So let me give them some space. Let me allow them some time, to get back to themselves. And I think we forget about that as well. Whether you're in a same-sex situation or of opposite sex, it really doesn't matter. It applies to both. And a lot of people really have a misconception about that too. They think that, one relationship is different because, you guys are like the same. No, just because you're dating the same sex doesn't mean you guys are going to have the same personalities, the same moods, things like that. We're all human beings, so we're all going to move differently, and certain things are going to trigger us in a different way. So I just want people to be open-minded when it comes to respecting people's boundaries, and I mean from the physical to the mental aspect. That's somebody that's joining us. I can't see your name, but hey, back.
Yeah, and I would just add to that too, because sometimes people say, you got to fake it till you make it. Well, if you fake it till you make it, it's not always going to be good. Like, you want that intimate time should be sensual. You should have your emotions in it. You should be feeling it. You should be wanting to rock with your boo, your bae, or whatnot, because there are times when, I tell my husband, I'm like, baby, like, why don't you just go run me a bath, like a hot bath? I just want some candles. If we have rose petals in the house, sprinkle some rose petals in my bath.
Whatever you got, whatever flowers you got, sprinkle them.
And I was like, okay, that will help me de-stress and kind of get in the mood. And I love my husband, y'all. Like, I love my husband. But there are times where I'm just mentally drained. And if I'm mentally drained, you're not going to perform your best, or you're not going to be throwing in a circle, doing tricks, somersaults, all that good stuff. And it's not going to be like, oh, baby, you put it on me. No, because you're mentally drained, but then you're trying to please your husband and your man, but then he's not getting all of you because you're not even there. You're just doing it to show your husband that, yes, I'm going to satisfy you, or whatever the case may be. But y'all, holla back at me if you've been there. Like, there ain't nothing wrong with what Danny M says. Like, sometimes you just want to say, not today, or maybe just do some foreplay, or just rub my back, just be all sensual, or rub my feet, or just something, or, just caress me. And then, it will ease into it. And then maybe I'll get in the mood and be like, ooh, okay, let me pop it like it's hot or something.
Facts. So, and this is something that needs to be talked about. I don't think a lot of men or women realize that. Like, they just want to get straight to the point. Some of these people out here, and they don't get it. So I appreciate you for backing me on that, Genesis.
It's very important that we understand, that communicating what we want is the boundary. When we're dating people, we can't just go with the flow. You have to be able to verbalize what it is you want. And a lot of people, they miss the fact that is setting the boundary, saying that this is what I like, this is what I desire, and this is what I don't like. And that's so amazing that you and your husband have that, whoever this Facebook user is saying, communication. It is important to be able to communicate our needs, to say, this is what I need from you. And a lot of times, like I told you guys, like I, at 37, I'm just now realizing that, in the past, I wasn't saying this is what I need. I was doing just like Asia said, I was in my relationship, you guys, single. I didn't want to give my time to anybody else but my children. And I just realized that. I'm laughing because that's what you said. It's how I was, you guys. Like, and I was married. And I'm in my marriage, you guys, literally like, nope, I don't want to do this today. And so I just would just work in my children. And then when I see you, I see you. You guys, this is so crazy. This is a great time.
This is good though. It's therapeutic. That's why we're having this conversation, because I know a lot of people are drowned in stress. They're tired. They're trying to juggle all these like high priority jobs as a woman, not even necessarily as a wife or a mom, just as a woman. We have to have these real moments like what we're having on this show to really like open up your mind. Like, well, what have I been doing? Like in the same pattern is giving me the same crappy results. What can I do to change myself in the way I think about the way I plan out my day, how I exercise my time with myself, with my children, with my that self-love. Facts. So it's just like it's normal.
I promise you, girl, like, a lot of my people, they hit me up about the exercising, and it's so crazy. Like, I had to take time to myself because I was having the headaches. I was losing my hair. I was having in and out of the hospital, and I just realized, that I had been stretching myself so thin that I was literally living, you guys, just off of a lack of, you guys, sheer willpower, just to make it through, because I've given everything to everybody. And I said, you know what? I remember when you first started this, I started journaling. I also, I do yoga now. I am learning, you guys. I haven't got good into it, but I'm trying to learn how to, what's it called? It just escaped me. Meditate. That's my new thing, is learning to meditate.
Asia's your girl for that. Asia, check her out.
Because I've been reading up on it, and with me having PTSD, I was afraid to be alone with my thoughts. But it's something like every month I'm doing something more for me to learn more about myself, and yes, spiritual growth. So girl, you're right. Just giving so much of ourselves and not having nothing left for us. It's crazy.
So, Miranda, I just want to speak to you really quickly, if you don't mind. When it comes to meditation not only helps you ground yourself, but it helps you heal. I suffered from PTSD myself. And prior to me literally engulfing myself in meditation, I would have triggers. I would have flashbacks, nightmares at least 4 times, 5 times a week. to where I was literally waking up out of my sleep, fighting, physically fist fighting, physically crying and bawling because of my traumas. Once I started meditating and I allowed myself to really understand what it was doing to myself, I was able to heal. I was able to flourish. I was able to move forward and not be triggered as much. And I don't have any nightmares to this day as a result. So when I tell people meditation is key to healing, it is absolutely key to healing.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to you after this, because I really do. That's my new thing. I've been working out and I've been doing yoga, but I want to add the meditation. I don't know if I did it backwards, but I felt like I needed to get the movements first before I could start meditation.
No, you're fine.
Because I feel like I should be physically strong enough to do it and not trying to. So,
you're fine.
like, I'm excited. I definitely want to learn.
Yeah, it's no everyone's journey is different. Okay. I think as women, we think everything has to be in a certain order. Everything has to be a certain way. It does not. However you begin your healing process, your healing journey is your process. However you start, it's the way you start. That's how you're guided. And so we need to be more kind with ourselves and not judge ourselves in regards to how we're setting boundaries for ourselves.
Love it. And we have to be patient with ourselves. You know, that's something that I tell a lot of my good close friends, and they know who I'm talking about. They call me up in a tizzy. They're stressed out. They're screaming, not screaming at me, but they're screaming because they're under so much stress. Like, it's like people don't understand when women are married, they have careers, they have kids, they have pressing projects that are due on a certain date. It's like, and then they don't have any time for themselves. So anytime I'm calling for brunch, let's do brunch, nobody can show up because they're all busy and they literally committed themselves to every hour time slot doing something for someone else or a corporation or whatever, and they've made zero time for themselves. But babe, I'm still gonna sip this mimosa or this margarita or whatever I'm doing.
Ooh, yes.
I'm stressed out. Sorry, but call me when you get done with that. So no offense to the people that know what I'm talking about. But I would say, you know, I wanted to go into like, how do we define these boundaries, right? Because we can talk about setting them, but it's more so, how do we do it? And how do we do it effectively and without feeling bad about doing it? Because women, we're emotional. Like, we really do. It's like what Asia just said. We come down hard on ourselves and we say to ourselves, oh, I don't want to say no to him or her because they really are expecting me to be there. But honey, if you're not in the mood to do your hair, put on your makeup, throw on some heels, you may not want to do all of that. And it's okay to say no. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself to be the yes woman or the yes man if you don't feel like spiritually, mentally, physically, that you can be present and actually enjoy yourself and have a good time wherever it is that you're going. Or even if you don't even feel comfortable, it could be other people present at an event that you don't feel comfortable with being around. It's okay to say no. And it has nothing with you to do with you being messy or dramatic. It's more so, I don't want to share my energy space with that person, so I'm not attending. Bottom line.
I agree. And I would say we need to get back to letting our no be no without explaining why we're saying no. Because when I was growing up in a Caribbean, South American household, my mama is straight Caribbean, y'all. Like, she ain't nothing Americanized. And when she said no, that was the end of it. Like, there was no, like, well, or what? Like these new age children do. Like, your no is no. Now go sit down somewhere. I'm not about to explain why I said no. Or my dad, he was like more flexible or whatnot. And rest his soul, like, oh, I miss my dad every day. And then like now with family, sometimes they think just because you're family that you're required to do certain things. I'm like, if I don't have it in my calendar, that means I'm not going, because I didn't plan to put it in my schedule. 2, I don't want to be around the people that you're surrounding yourself with, because I know if something pops off, you know, I'm still growing. The Lord is still working on me. I call myself a WIP, work in progress. And I don't want to easily slip back to BC before Christ, because if you say something that I don't agree with, like, yes, I'm working on patience, love, kindness, the fruits of the spirit, but you know, sometimes I have triggers, and if you say something, I'm gonna get with you. I may not do it in a street way, but I'm gonna do it in a PC way, politically correct. But then you're gonna be like, oh dang, Jennison went from 0 to 100. I'm be like, yeah, real quick, like Drake. Real quick.
But you know, you shouldn't even have to apologize for that. Even if you do set people straight and you set those boundaries, that's it. Period. You don't have to explain yourself. And you have to be okay and comfortable with other people not accepting your boundaries, because you can set these boundaries and people are going to keep habitually trying to cross them. As they continually habitually cross your boundaries, set them straight. Set them straight. And when you set them straight, don't feel bad about it. Not only don't you feel bad about it, but move on. Some people are not meant to stay in our lives. When you set healthy boundaries and people can't respect them, move on.
Yep, that's so true. This book has helped me a lot, y'all. Asia, Danny, Miranda, boundaries. Because before I would just say, no, I would explain it. I would feel bad. They try to guilt trip you. Then you're like, is it me or is it them? And I'm like, no, it ain't me. It's surely them. Because I'm like, if I call you to do something, would you jump out your bed and do it for me? If I was stuck on the side of the road and I needed somebody to change my tire, would you do it? No. If I needed somebody to take my kids, well, I don't have no kids right now. I'm on rentakid.com, y'all. I rent my nieces and nephews and give them back. No, you won't do it.
It's facts though. I love that you said that, because you do have to think about that when you're doing things for people, whatever it may be. Will they do the same for you? So like, I wanted to talk about how we define these boundaries and know when people are crossing it. So, you know, when people go through your personal belongings, this happens a lot in relationships, I've noticed. So when you have a guilt trip going on, someone doesn't trust you or you don't trust them, it's not okay for you to pick up their cell phone and go through their cell phone, even though I know a lot of women do it. I've done it before. I'm not gonna sit here and play with y'all like I haven't, because I have, but it's wrong. You can't just go through other people's property, whether it's their backpack, their closet. Miranda want to say something. Go ahead.
Girl, remember I told you, man, that's not even necessarily a boundary. That's more of a trust issue. It has nothing to do with people not respecting your space, because it's about a lack of insecurity within them. We learned very early about your space, personal, like in gym, we used to play the game, everybody 6 feet, this is my personal space. We all learned that, and that was a boundary. So when people are going through your things, not even just, the most recent one, y'all, he went through my email. He still have belongings of mine. And I through counseling had to learn, that's not about boundaries. That's about insecurities. That's an insecurity within that person. And that's just in that. Don't even be with someone who is like that, because when they get to the point to where they can't even respect your personal things, you don't need a boundary for somebody to be like, no, you don't need to go through my phone or my email. You just don't need to be in that relationship. That's one of my my therapist says that's a non-negotiable. That's what she told me. She said that's a non-negotiable, and you just say no, and you don't need to be in that relationship.
And yes, facts. That is nothing but 1000% facts. And also people who criticize you, have you guys ever been around friends or family or both who just have to find something negative to say about you, whether the way it could be your appearance, the way you look, whether you lost weight, gained weight, cut your hair, grew your hair out. Oh, maybe you need some Invisaligns. What's wrong with your teeth? They just have to find something wrong to talk about. That also kind of applies to what you said, Miranda. It's more something wrong with them than it is them respecting your boundaries. But they're still disrespecting your boundary. If you don't want to be talked to that way, you don't want to be put down, you don't want that negative energy your way, remove yourself from that situation.
And that's
I'm echoing what you said.
those are signs of narcissistic abuse. A lot of people don't know what narcissistic abuse is, but when someone's continually diminishing, devalue you, making you feel less than what you should feel, that's a part of a cycle in narcissistic abuse. Be very careful with people like that. And what people don't realize is narcissistic abuse is not just in relationships that are romantic. They're in friendships, they're in partnerships, they're in family dynamics way more than romantic relationships. So be very, very careful when you have someone that always has a criticism. When they see you, oh my God, you got fat. Okay, you did too. Leave me alone. Mind your business. Like, so you have to set people straight immediately, because if you don't, they will continue to do it.
And I guess I want to chime in there, Asia, because that was beautiful. And I'm so glad that you put that out there, because another thing of that type of abuse is when someone asks a woman who does not have children yet, when are you having a baby? And it's like, when are you having a baby? Or when are you going to get married? And I love the way that Andy Mineo said it. He's like, stop asking me when me and my wife are having some kids. Right now we're just practicing, or something. And he goes into this little speech because people love to ask that. First, it's like, when are you getting married? Then when are you having a kid? Or if you got laid off, oh, you ain't found a job yet? What are you waiting for? Well, who's to say that I want to go back to a job? Who's to say that I don't want to be my own business owner? Or you don't know what I have going on in the background. And then they're doing all this stuff to get a rise out of you because there's something inside of them that they are insecure with. And by them not dealing with their own insecurity, they're trying to attack you to make you feel less than and make themselves feel higher than you are. And I want to just say, back, give me 50 feet. Like, I'm not all up in your household. I'm not all up in your grill. So why are you doing it to me? And then whenever you open your mouth and say something, everyone's looking at you like you're the angry cousin, or you're the angry Black woman, or you're aggressive. Then they want to label you, but no one sees what they're doing. And then it trickles into your household relationship, because sometimes, like with my own family, they'll say things that are, trying to throw shade or whatnot. And then my husband's like, but baby, they're family. And I'm like, but you know what? They say blood is thicker than water. But if your family does not treat you as good as your friends, then I ain't got nothing to say to you. And I hate to say that way, because people always say your family is going to be your family. But how can your family be really for you if they're going against you? So I feel like we need to get out of that methodology and that thinking and break those cycles, because if we're not breaking those cycles, we're going to continually allow the abuse to diminish us, and then it's going to make us feel smaller than we were intended to be.
Yes. And exactly what you just explained, Genesis, is exactly what narcissistic abuse is. We look at it because we're so used to it, and it's so normal to us for people to diminish or try to change who we are, try to make us into something else, that we forget it's abuse. It's still abuse.
Facts. That is facts. And it's so funny because I was just doing this interview on Open Radio. Shout out to the host on Open Radio for having me when I was discussing one of the projects that I did last year for the movie Nella. And so I remember actually someone I've been knowing for over 10 years was like, gosh, why do you do so much? Like, it's too much? Like, and I'm like, don't tell me what's too much. I define what's too much for me. I set my own boundaries. I set my own schedule. I pay my own bills. Like, don't worry about what I'm doing. You worry about what you're doing or lack thereof, what you're not doing. But, it trips me out. It's very trippy how people try to project who they are onto you. And they think that you're supposed to accept the boundaries and limitations they're trying to put on you because of what they will and will not do. And I noticed that in families, especially, relatives are really big on that. If they feel like, oh, they've been knowing you since you were yay high, there's no way that this person can be doing this, that, or the other. Is this really legitimate? Oh, so what are you doing now? Oh, so I heard you were doing this now. Like, well, if you heard it, why don't you support it? How about that? How about you support it? All this energy that you're putting into trying to bash me down and tell me what all I'm doing and what I'm putting my hands into, support. make it flourish. And we're really family. Let's help grow each other's businesses, whatever it is that we're doing, and be supportive and stop being so negative. That's not going to get us anywhere.
I saw a meme earlier today, and I think it's very appropriate for what you just said, Danny, where basically they were saying, oh, people say all the time, don't forget me when you get famous. But how about you support me now while I'm on my way to fame? So that way, when I get there, I can't say you wasn't there. Because once I get to where I'm going, if you was not doing this process in this journey, you're not going with me when I get there.
That's correct. That's 100% correct. And then people shouldn't think any other way about it. And Miss Renee says, when I get another job, I was waiting on you to mind your business so I can apply.
Yes.
People are such a trip. I mean, they really get caught up in what they will and want to do, and they project that on you, and that's not right. And no grown adult that's in their right mind is going to allow you to do that either. It doesn't matter who you are to them. Just mind your business. Either you're going to support or not. Keep your mouth closed if you don't have anything positive to say. Point blank, move it on. But I was going to talk about a little bit of why we feel so responsible for the way other people feel. I think that's part of the reasons why we don't set those proper boundaries in our lives. So I remember, Miranda, you were mentioning earlier about the children, that's a very delicate topic, but for me, my kids know if I give them a certain look, leave me alone, because I'm going off into my cave, my Batwoman cave, and I got some things I need to take care of. But not every parenting relationship is the same, right? But regardless to what your parenting relationship is, I know that it's so important. It's like detrimental to your health, literally, that you get the time that you need. However you go about doing it, just make sure you do it, ladies. Men too.
For setting boundaries with our children, I think they call it, the black mama look. We all have that. like girl, the 10-month-old. The other day, not even the other day, just yesterday, we were somewhere and she was trying to do something. I looked at her and she said, set her butt down. I said, you better. I'm already on them legs, because kids, they learn so early how to get into everything. Y'all, she 10 months, y'all. I already have to get on this little person. But, being a mother of 4, for me, setting boundaries with each of them so that I can have time, allotted appropriately with each of them. It goes for me with starting with the oldest, letting her know what her role is, because I'm big on family. I still believe in a village. I still believe that it takes a village to raise children. And shout out to mine. I have a wonderful village. My mother and my sister and my brother, we're really close-knit family, and they help me. I don't do this alone, being a nurse and working and I don't do this alone. I don't. But setting boundaries with my children, like I said, with my oldest, she's a teenager, y'all. And when I tell y'all she want to do and be and go and play, and it's like, honey, this is the summer. This is the time that I have allotted for you to be here to babysit.
Okay.
I'm saving on my ducks. I'm not going to be paying these people. And y'all, she was like, but them your babies. I said, and they your siblings. We not going to do this, And so my point in saying that is communication again, telling them what their role is, when I have to spend time with the baby, and I tell the other ones, go in your room, go play, go find you something to do, because I'm finna spend time with this one. And, I have a son, y'all, and he's the only one. So I have to sometimes go out there and play basketball with him, just so he, doesn't feel left out. And not just that. Sometimes my son likes to bake, y'all, and he wants to go in there and make a cake or something, or, make some brownies. And I tell the other ones, I sit them in their room and I let them play with their stuff. And then I spend time with him by himself, and I do that for each of them so that they, they feel like they have a piece of me, you know what I'm saying? And it's not always easy because I have 2 small ones, but you guys, communicating with your children is so important, because it teaches them how to communicate, outside and tell you what they need. When he wants me, he comes and he says, Mom, I need you to do this with me, because, he doesn't say because I miss you. He just says, you know, Mom, I need you to come and do this with me. And I know that that means that, you know, he's feeling left out. I've been with the baby, so let me go give him some of my time.
And I guess the one thing I want to say, Miranda, from the outside looking in as a woman who does not have her own kids yet, but just, you know, my niece and nephew running kids. I like that you say that you're intentional about the time that you're spending with each kid, because now I see these new mothers and young mothers that are in my age group where they don't even have the time to be bothered with their children. They just kind of shoo them away. And then you look at that kid and you see that kid is hurting because that kid is vying for their love and attention. And if you're not giving your kid that undivided love and attention for a certain period of time, then don't get upset when the world gets a hold of them and they start acting crazy, because you were blessed to have those kids. And there are women out there who cannot have kids or who want kids, and you have the privilege to be a mother and you are abusing it. And I see a lot of mothers out here in these streets wilding. They look good from top to bottom, but then you look at their kids and their kids aren't put together, or their kids are doing something and all they want to say is, oh, shut the F up, or go sit down somewhere, or do this. You can't talk to kids certain way. There is a way that you could talk to kids and discipline kids. And then there's a way where you need to love and nurture them so they could be successful. Because if you're not doing that, then don't get upset when someone else does it and they do it in the wrong way and they manipulate your children, or the world gets up and they start acting crazy. Because I point the fingers back at you. And I said, even though I don't have my own kids, and I love my nieces and nephew, when I'm with them, I love them as if they were my own until the Lord blesses me with my own. Yeah. And I said, I don't know when that's going to come, but, you know, I know it's going to come, and I'm putting it out there and I'm manifesting it. But I just really love what you said, because I think that's going to resonate to mothers out there who are listening, as well as fathers, because fathers have to do their part too. It's not always the mother's job, because the mother didn't make the baby on her own. She made it with you. And even if you're with that mom or not, you have to stop using these kids as pawns to get your way. These kids are not pawns. Step up to the plate, do your damn job, and be that responsible parent. If you are not with that mother, learn how to co-parent, because it's for the sake of your child, nobody else.
I love that. I love that.
And in talking about co-parenting, Genesis, you know, that's a boundary I'm still working on. I am a very hands-on mother. My daughter, she's number 32 in her class. And it's because at a young age, like my children, I'm very hands-on. I believe that we are our children's first teachers. And so, you know, you are so right. And I don't speak on anybody's relationship with their children, because I don't know what traumas they have from their childhood. But I know for myself, growing up, my mother worked a lot, and I was given a lot of responsibility at an early age. And because of that, I always said, when I have my children, I'm going to be there. I want to be at the programs. I want to be at the games. I want to be, you know, with their friendships. I want to know who their friends are and all that. And, you know, some people go into parenting and they really are just so upset, girl. Some people never get over the fact that they didn't want to have children. And it's a sad but true fact. Like, some people, they won't ever learn because they mama told them, just like you said, get out of my face. And then they just pass that on and pass it on, you know. And speaking of boundaries, you know, as mothers, I wish that was the one thing that we learned to set. You know, you don't have to do everything that your mother did. Learn a better way. And when you learn it, implement it and teach your children different behaviors. I hate to see us just sitting our kids in front of the TV all the time. Like, it's so sad, you know. It is nothing like Chick-fil-A. it started with me for Chick-fil-A. They used to give kids books, and I would read those books to my daughter. And then my daughter, she would in turn take the book. She don't know how to read, but she would literally try to tell the story by the pictures. And it helped me to understand that kids, like, they not only want to play, but they also want to learn. You know, they're little leeches. They say everything you say. So them parents that tell their kids, get out of my face and shut them the same ones at school telling kids, you know, teaching them, passing on that negative behavior as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk a little bit about, as we get ready to wrap up, because, you know, we could talk about this topic for 2 or 3 sessions, probably longer. I want to help people who may have issues with setting those boundaries, like on things they don't know how to speak to people and tell them, hey, I'm really not interested in attending the event tonight because I'm just tired. It's okay to tell people that, you know, sometimes you're on the phone with someone who's gotten rude with you. I don't know what's going on. Maybe a little bit of drama's going on. And you just have to say, hey, I'll end this phone call. And if you continue to shout at me, I have to disconnect this line. It's just like being at work. If you've ever been a bill collector, people start cussing you out, you'll never get it. I don't have the money. If I have money, I'm not going to pay you on the bill. You know, you got to say, hey, I'm sorry, but if you don't stop cursing at me or yelling at me, I'm going to have to end this phone call. You have to do your friends and family the same way. You just because you love them doesn't give them the right to disrespect you or to cross your boundaries. And then also, you know, somebody's like really bugging you to stay later. And, you know, you've already had a couple of drinks at an event, at brunch, or you're at the club with your friend. I don't know what you do, whatever you're doing. And you're ready to go because we have something called intuition. And our spirit is telling us it's time to leave. I need to go home. I need to go maybe check on my kids. Or I want to go home and cook me something nice to eat, take a bath and go to sleep. Just say, hey, I can't stay any longer. I've had a good time tonight. I'm sorry, but I have to leave. That's it. You don't need to explain yourself any further. You have some people who try to encourage you to eat foods that your body can't digest. For instance, I'm speaking to my younger crowd of people who don't really know their bodies yet, you know, and if you can't have something, you have to simply say, you know what, not to put them in your business, but say, you know what, I'm not interested in that. I'm not that hungry. I'm just going to have something when I get back home. You don't have to tell people that you can't eat a certain substance because you're allergic to it, because then that gives them other probing questions to ask you. So we just have to learn to kind of cut people off where they are. When we start feeling uncomfortable, it's okay for us to speak up and take up for ourselves and set those healthy boundaries before it gets out of hand.
And I think that what you said, Danny, is absolutely amazing. And I also want us to remember that children are allowed to set boundaries for themselves. We need to be very respectful of children that set their own healthy boundaries and listen to them when they're setting their boundaries, because we're dismissing them when we're not like literally following the boundaries they're setting for themselves. That's teaching them they have no voice. So if a child is setting a healthy boundary with you as a parent, do not get offended. Understand that is what they need to move forward.
So that is so important. My daughter, she's a very insightful young lady, and I love that about her. She just told me the other day, because I asked her, why haven't you went back to dad's? And she said, I needed some time, Mom. She said, I'm not ready yet. She said, I needed some time because every time I try to talk to him, all he does is just try to get into it with me. Mind you guys, she's 15. Well, she'll be 15 soon. But, you know, I was like so proud of her. I'm like, that is such a mature way to handle it. She said, I can't talk to him right now. So I'm just taking some time. And she said, you know, I'll go over there next month and, you know, try again. And Asia, you're so right. You know, the mother in me wants to say, no, girl, that's your dad. You need to, you know, but like you said, she came to me and, you know, and she told me. So I'm like, you know, as her mother and as someone she feels comfortable. When somebody shows you that they feel comfortable communicating with you, you got to listen. And it's not my place to tell her what to do. She's already set that boundary. She's already made a decision. And at this point, all I could do is support her. You know, when he comes to me and say something, all I'm going to say is, you know, when she's ready, she's going to come back, you know, and that's, you're so right, Asia.
And I like both of those examples from Asia and Miranda, because when Miranda talked about her daughter, who's about to be 15, said that it also shows that she knows how to de-escalate a situation versus allow things to fester and make the situation bigger than what it is. So at a young age, she's recognizing what those limits are, and then she's using her intuition, her spiritual discernment, or whatever to pull back and retreat before she says something that will cause her father to feel as if he is being disrespected as a parent. Where and then with her being a child, she wants to respect her dad because that is her man figure and that's her parent. But then she also has to realize that if he's doing something that is not producing good fruit in her, or making her feel uncomfortable or some type of way where her point is not getting across, and they can't have a controlled conversation versus an uncontrolled conversation, she chooses to de-escalate and retreat until she can enter back into the environment where he will be ready to receive what she is trying to convey, and vice versa.
Love it. And this is so real, guys. Like, for people who have children, we have to respect our kids, and even my daughter, oldest, just got into a situation like that just a month ago with a relative. And I didn't say a word because she was absolutely right. My daughter said, "You're forgetting that just because I'm a child, that you have to respect me." She's like, "I'm talking to you with respect. And so I have to have that respect in return." There's nothing wrong with what she said there. And I felt very, so look, all you ladies should be proud, because if your children know that, right, before they even reach adulthood, they're going to be just fine communicating in the real world. This applies to work as well. Just because you have a boss, or you have a team lead, or you have someone that is a higher level authority than you are, does not give them the right to disrespect you. You're very at ease and 100% capable of letting your staff know that I am not comfortable discussing whatever situation it is that they're trying to discuss with you. Or, I respect your opinion, but this is my life and this is my decision. This is my job title, my duty. This is the way I'm going to implement the task. If I do it incorrectly, feel free to let me know where I can make improvements. And you just end that conversation. It's as simple as that.
And I guess another thing I want to add, if you don't mind, Danny and ladies, when people say, oh, they want you to do things with a sense of urgency, like call me back ASAP or do this ASAP or whatnot, just because it's your sense of urgency does not mean it's my sense of urgency, because you don't know what somebody else has going on in the background. And if they didn't respond to you when you thought they were going to respond to you, that means that they're probably busy, or they're probably doing something before they could get to you, because maybe they're dealing with something in the background. And if they were to respond to you with your sense of urgency, the message wouldn't have been conveyed well.
Facts. And be okay with saying that I don't respond to work emails on the weekend. There is nothing wrong with letting people know, this is my space. I allocate to you Monday through Friday from whatever your hours are to the ending hours. Beyond that point, if I respond, that's a luxury. But I am not responding to emails during the weekend. You have that right. If they're not paying you salary and expect you to do this or that or the other, set your boundaries accordingly.
Even if they are paying you salary, you get paid to work from Monday through Friday.
Well, some companies and organizations and industries work different. I'm being honest. So, I mean, coming from oil and gas, there was no Monday through Friday. We're paying you salary plus bonus. You gonna work on Saturday if you need to. But it just depends on what your role is. It has many different factors, right? But again, yes, you are still supposed to set your boundaries. You need time for yourself. You can't work Sunday to Sunday. You know what I mean? Is what I'm saying, But, every industry is different depending on what you're doing. But I will say, ladies, thank you guys so much for sharing a little bit of you with us today and with the audience. And definitely shout out to our audience today, because, baby, you guys were sending all types of messages today. I can't even read them all because we were kind of in the zone with this topic today. But I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Genesis and all your friends, because they were popping up left and right. Here you go. Here's one of them. There's a lot of them. We have Shay, of course. We have Dick Dillinger. Thank you guys for coming on to the show. We even have Kathy. She's watching us from Las Vegas right now. So shout out to Kathy Tatum. We have Miss Renee again, like I said, from ATL. So thank you guys so much for just taking our time to hear us chat a little bit about how we need to set those healthy boundaries. How do we set them and staying committed to those, to the boundaries that we set and not feeling bad about it, because it's time for a real change, you know, and the change starts with us and the way we think. Anybody have any final words?
I was just over here cheesing because I was like, well, I feel like I just got off a Red Table Talk or the Reels show or The View.
Well, we'll be there soon, Genesis. Let's just keep working.
Hey, no, we don't need to copy nobody's show. We can make our own show.
Well, I think we're very unique in the topics and the way we approach it. So we don't have to worry about duplication. I don't think. We're pretty authentic. And we keep it real. We don't sugarcoat anything on this show. So
all the brownie bites up in here, wearing their hair care diversity, just talk. I just like that all us brownie bites could get together without, fighting one another and complimenting each other, because it's so hard to really be in a room with other Black women who aren't vying for the same seat. And we all come from different backgrounds and we all added some value today to this conversation. So that makes me feel very good. And it just makes me feel, I don't even know how to explain it. It just makes me feel so warm and fuzzy, because it's so hard sometimes to see Black women come together and really salute and celebrate one another.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I agree. Also, I appreciate that Danny and Asia, you guys share your space. I feel like such a small piece of this, but I really appreciate you guys sharing your space with us to allow us to, add to the narrative.
Definitely. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say no one has a small piece. I think we all are big in our own rights. And I think that we all contribute the way that we contribute, because in my opinion, Black women, there's no competition. Why is there no competition? Because we're growing together, we're uplifting each other, and we're moving forward together.
Definitely. Also, and I want to say, I feel like I love what Genesis said, because I felt this same warm feeling about this topic, about the people I chose to be the special guest, about my wonderful co-host. Like I just felt like, man, we're gonna smash this today, because it's something that it needs to be talked about. We didn't even get into the real, like, raw, we're gonna save that for another day and another time. We'll schedule that again in the future. But definitely want to say that I know that this type of show, Sisters Talk, is going to definitely grow, because we're talking about topics that need to be talked about, needs to be discussed. It needs to be discussed on a larger scale, and it will. Hopefully, I'm going to send those vibes into the universe. But I also want to initiate our community to start being more open and to really engage with us like they did today. You guys did a beautiful job, because the more we discuss our issues, the faster we're going to heal from the problems that we've had ailing us for the years to come, And so some of this won't even change or turn around until we start talking about it. So I think that us discussing in our rawest form in terms of being mothers, wives, regular women, maybe you don't have kids, maybe you're just a woman trying to succeed in your life. It's so important that you set those boundaries so that you can ensure the necessary time for yourself to grow, to learn, to prosper, to think of these brilliant ideas, to develop your children, to bond, make a stronger bond in your relationship with whomever it is that's your significant other, to teach your significant other. We have to teach each other, we forget about that too. So, and also teaching ourselves to accept ourselves and to not just say self-love, to really truly love ourselves enough to say, you know what? I'm not going to that party tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not going to that boat party or that vacation that somebody planned. I don't want to go with those people. Like, it's okay. We have to stop thinking that it's not okay to be comfortable with our decision. And like Genesis said, sit in it. Where are you going? Why are you running away from the decision that you made? Be okay with saying no. So I want to thank everybody today for tuning in to the Sisters Talk podcast. And thank you, beautiful ladies, for being our special guests. Genesis, Miranda, I can't wait to have you guys back on the show. And Miss Asia, do you have any final words?
I just want to say, continue to make yourselves priorities, kings and queens. So that way, when you spread your love, you have enough to give.
Facts. Until next time, next Sunday, we'll have Miss Jennifer Williams on the show. She's actually a NASA employee. She's been there for years. And so I can't wait to start poking her brain with asking her some of these weird questions about aliens, space, Mars. We have helicopters on Mars now. So super excited to have her on the show next Sunday. So you guys just stay tuned. You never know who we're going to have on the Sisters Talk podcast, guys. So until next time, you guys have a blessed one. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.